You have an important presentation to give. You walk back to your desk to see this. Shit my pants. Gone home. What do you even do? This is one of many stories that no classroom or textbook will prepare you for. The real world is confusing. It really is. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of events like these that take place in the corporate world, and many of this you will not be prepared for. My name is Mohammad Saim, and this really did happen. This is one situation that I could not even imagine, which is why I'm here to tell you and talk to you about the unwritten chapters of leadership. The things that nobody sees or regularly talks about. The things that I was not taught in school or I read in textbooks. They've always told me a leader is first, ahead of the pack, the one in charge. But guess what? That's not always true. I'm not the idyllic, picture-perfect image of a leader that you may have in your head, but I am somebody that fits the mold of where corporate world is headed towards. See, I am a millennial leader. And what that means is doing things differently from my parents and my grandparents. It means for me to change the trajectory of the way the business is being done right now. It gives me the option to innovate, be adaptable with local economies, and also use increased technology. But that's not the only thing. It also means you have to create your own path. See, without mentorship and guidance, a lot of leaders are not prepared to go into the future. According to Harvard Business Review, 50 to 60% of executives fail within the first 18 months of being promoted or hired. Please let that sink in for a second. 50 to 60%. Wow. But for me, this is not surprising at all. Our resources are now outdated, and the world is moving at such a fast pace that we as leaders stop and not talk to people. For leaders, one of your biggest assets is people. But wait, I haven't even asked you the question. How many of you want to be a leader? Or already consider yourself to be a leader? Great. But what if I told you that you have to stay in the office till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night and finish your work, and next day wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to have a conversation on the other side of the world? What if I told you that you had to eat lunch alone and while your team goes out together? And what if I told you that you will have to make a decision that will affect somebody's life in some way, shape, or form? But you don't have all the information, but you as a leader still need to make a decision. How many of you want to be a leader still? I asked that question to myself when I was growing up. And I always knew I wanted to be a leader of some sort, some type. But what I learned along the way was it's all about relationships. And being a leader is to maintain those relationships. Being a leader has a lot of challenges that you may face. I had one challenge in itself. I started my job working in corporate America, and that's when I realized that I wanted to be a leader. See, we were taught on how to behave and how to act in the business environment. Many things that were in theory were true, but in real application wasn't the case. We were taught that it's always a good first impression. But don't get me wrong, that's very important, but you have to realize if you have to fit in or stand out. You have to find the fine balance. I wore a suit on my first day of work. And excited to go in. I met with my team members and peers. And my team members told me that day, "Why are you wearing a suit? You should blend in." And one person had the audacity to tell me, you're here to make us look bad, aren't you? I was shocked to hear that and really hurt. I thought they would accept me for who I am. But what I realized that day as a leader was I have to understand my surroundings and what impact that I have on people. See, I was always taught to compete and win because that's the only way to survive. Thanks, Darwin. But what I didn't realize was that's not always the case. A leader has to be part of a team, but they also have to understand when to stand apart from the team. See, there's a fine line between a micromanager leader and a leader that's hands-off. And the key to success is finding the perfect balance between the two. See, our generation is fed up nowadays. We want instant results. Our generation wants instant gratification. We really do. And by the way, we're entitled. But in reality, we make these grand schemes and plans only to expect to have them completed very quickly. But we forget most along the way is the fact that all the lessons and mistakes that we have made. I was in a previous role where I had a lot of people with amazing ideas. Everybody has something to say. Either it's a new product for their portfolio, it's something for the strategy. People have something to give, but nobody was listening to them. I took an initiative and got my team of people together. We worked on a project for 6 months, and we presented it to our CTO. We were met with intrigue, excitement, and confusion. They weren't expecting this from us as a group. They were excited to see this because it's something that's sprouting from the grassroots. Intrigue because they've never seen this before, and it fit the strategy and the product portfolio. And confusion because it was on nobody's radar. And on top of that, it wasn't part of a strategy, and it was not part of any roadmap. So if we, for once, changed the rules of engagement, we came up with a brand new idea that we presented, and it was approved. We worked on that project for 2 years. That's a very long time, only to find out that our product would not be launched. Now, many of you would say, that's a failure. But in my eyes, that's not a failure. If I had not gotten the intellectual people together to come up with that product, we would not have learned early in our careers how to navigate business. We learned about sales, finance, intellectual property, competitive benchmarking, and building a prototype in the end. I'll be the first one to tell you, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And many I did not get a result for. If I had not gone through the experiences, I would not know what I have. See, I would ask all of you a question. How many of you have asked for help? How many have asked help for one of your classes? Be it a friend, a teacher, a professor? See, it's okay to ask for help. But in the corporate world, there's a big problem. When you ask for help, it's frowned upon. When you're a leader and you ask for help, they tell you, oh, this person's incapable. But in reality, it's not incapability that's the issue. The issue is that we have layers and hierarchies in an organization because decisions need to be made at different levels. And as a leader, you have to make those decisions. And many times, these are big decisions that will affect someone, some way, some shape. Whoops. See, one thing that you have to see is that all of us in our generation have a lot of technology. We make life easier and better by commuting faster, more effectively. But many times we lose human interaction along the way. So why is it that our generation that feels entitled and wants instant gratification is afraid to pick up a cell phone and make a call? We send text messages. We do a lot of silly things. Here's a prime example. We send a text message. We say hi. We got an answer back. Hey, how are you? We got an answer back again. Can I call you? Yeah, sure, call me. At that point, as a leader, I expect my team member to make that call because the green light's given. But instead, we have a conversation. Okay, what time? Sure, in 20 minutes. Okay, I'll call you then. This is all great, and that's how we converse normally, but in the business world, it's non-value add. But now you've intrigued the other person, and they're thinking about what is the topic about, and they always ask back, what do you want to talk about? Isn't this ridiculous? In business, we waste a lot of time like this. See, talking on the phone is good. It makes you feel approachable as an individual. As a leader, people should be able to come to you and able to speak to you effectively and clearly and ask you questions. And as a leader, you have to make yourself available whenever they need support. I lead global teams, and I know for a fact at any given moment, 24/7, there may be a problem. And I have to make myself available. And my team knows very clearly when to ask me for help. And it's okay to ask for help. As I mentioned, in our organizations, we have hierarchies. And there's a lot of leaders that have to make decisions. Decisions sometimes that we don't want to make. It affects us in our lives, and we know that the decisions that we make will affect people's lives. And it's a very lonely and isolating part. 38% of executives said they didn't expect loneliness and isolation that accompanied their job. I'm here to tell you, I'm part of that statistic because I had no idea. I want to tell you differently, but in reality I can't because I did not expect it. But what I learned along the way is that you have to take time and understand the decisions that you make. You will have to make those hard calls, maybe late at night when your whole team is at home. It's a difficult task, but I urge all of you to decide, is being a leader right for you or wrong for you? Well, please do make a decision. I want to tell you, your career development is your responsibility and no one else's. It's truly your responsibility. There is no wizard or magic juice that will give you your next skill or job. You have to go for it. I want you to all close your eyes for a second and reflect back to middle school, high school, college. We had progress reports, tests, quizzes along the way to show our progress. We then enter the college period. We have maybe one exam in one class, and you better pray to whoever it is that there better be a nice curve on that one exam. If not, we're in a lot of trouble. Now reflect back again. In middle school and high school, we had guidance counselors. In college, we have advisors. And in business world, we have mentors. This is the progression that we have through our lives. I urge you all to find a mentor. I've been truly blessed to have some great mentors and leaders along the way that have helped develop me into the leader that I am today. I expect all of you to also have that. Go and find that mentor, because a mentor is not there to give you answers, number one. They're there to ask you questions, help you formulate your thoughts, help you understand what you want to do into the future. And it's not an easy job. One of the greatest things that I've received from my mentors is feedback. It's one of the greatest gifts that I've received. Because without feedback, a leader or anybody cannot find out where they're going. Feedback gives you the alignment to see if you're doing the right things for your team or yourself. Being a leader is tough. It's lonely. It's vulnerable. But it's one of the hardest things to do. Being a leader, it's a choice. It's a choice that I made and I do not regret. None of my schooling and trainings ever prepared me for being a leader. But what I've learned along the way is genuine perseverance, intrigue, and finding the right people along the path to get you to your end goal. As the next generation coming into the workforce, we look to our elders and parents to show us what it's really like. But we have a social responsibility to break down the stereotypes that have been set. Being a leader is not the idyllic image that you may have in your head. You need to understand the dichotomy of leadership: when to step up, when to step back, when to fit in, and when to stand out. Being a leader is a daunting task. And there is no rule book that will tell you where you fall on the spectrum. But all of you have the potential to be a leader, only if you realize and accept the fact that you will never be fully prepared. Thank you.